I do know is that when I'm angry, when I'm jealous, when I'm selfish, it doesn't feel great. It's very limiting. It's very narrow when you're operating based off your own reaction, right? And I think I don't know if that's what he's saying, but it makes sense not to be that way, almost.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he also said if you are jealous or if you are be what you are.
Yeah.
Okay?
If you are jealous, be what you are.
Exactly. Don't try to be something else. Be what you are. And observe, maybe, that you are miserable, that you are not comfortable being jealous, being envious, being this, being that. And we all are this.
We are.
Yes. Yes, sir. We are. Of course.
So you shared the word corruption. You seem to be saying something when you shared that. So what is that you're sharing?
What am I sharing when I use the word corruption?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
What do I mean by corrupt?
What do you mean by corruption?
I heard her say something, and I want to see whether she can say more of what she was saying.
Yeah, okay. The first step is that when Krishnamurti says corruption begins with self-interest, that rings true to me. But what I also know is that I'm extremely self-interested. I'm jealous. I'm angry. I become miserable. I blame others. I don't know. The word violence is a word, but I mean, I would say that some acts are violent of mine. So that's what I mean by corruption. And when I'm in a state of jealousy or I'm in a state of anger, I can watch it and I can look at the thought process. I can look at what's coming up. But ultimately, the feeling here is one of pain, right? How am I free of that, I guess is my question. But, because I'm not free.
Ananda, but the first step is that you feel that.
Yes,
That's
yes,
it.
that's it.
That's it. Maybe you have to stay with this.
And then,
No,
that's it.
That's
That's
it.
it.
That's it.
That's the
Don't,
lesson of the
don't,
book.
no, don't ask.
No,
As
no.
long as I don't feel that, as long as that endeavor doesn't turn into another kind of program, which is now part of the same milieu.
What do you
If
mean by
it's a-
program? I'm sorry.
By having an approach, I feel like I have the answer to myself.
Okay.
When in fact, the very approach may be obscuring something that I'm underway with.
Yeah,
Right.
he's right. He's right.
Well, these questions are important to ask, especially, growing up, nobody ever asked me these sort of questions. Or if you express anything like this, they send you to the shrink or the school counselor, or, where you get to just feel bad for yourself and stuff. And to learn how to basically feel my feelings and how it feels to be me. What it is to be this. And a lot of times you don't learn that, to do that, in school. And I think these are important questions to bring up.
I wonder if Kay meant to imply that self-interest is always a corruption. Because when I think of corruption, I think of like a sickness which has progressed to a certain point, like a cancer or something like that. But I wonder if self-interest alone, I don't know if I necessarily would apply the word corruption to.
Oh,
I was just thinking about thought processes, right? Actual thought processes, and so where corruption speaks to me would be in a thought process that is unhealthy, right?
Like what?
I didn't think you were going to ask me for an example. So let me fish into my little bag of tricks. But yeah, an example would definitely bring it to the fore, no? Yeah, well, just what I recently and I'm trying to figure out for myself, just in terms of thought processes, is like I have my brain that is this organ that is constructed in such a way that it can make all of these different connections, right? And I use it to make sense of what my senses are perceiving. And then there's another part that's in the brain as well, localized someplace in the middle of the brain, that has to do with my emotions, right? How I feel. What I find interesting is that when I feel physical pain, it is triggered in the same brain as where I feel emotional pain. So I'm not clear about the circuits, both if they're just the intellectual circuits and the emotional circuits. What am I attaching to something so that it becomes joyful or painful? What have I identified with that event? These are the questions I ask myself. So unhealthy thinking, or an unhealthy circuit for me, thought circuit might be to project onto what's happening out there, what I might be fearing the most inside of me at any given time. Or, yeah, I don't know if I can't be any more clear about what I'm saying, but it's the relationship between the brain's activity in observing its own thought, and then the brain's activity feeling its feelings.
It's interesting that this, someone had said, you know, well, Kay makes it sound as if it's a choice. You have a choice to be angry or not angry, and maybe that's not the way it works. And then what Susanna was saying sort of reminds me of myself. and actually I think it is that simple. At least I've noticed that, because, like, as an example, I noticed the other day I'm folding up someone's pants who they left on the, couch or something, and I'm thinking, oh God, how many times do I have to say? I like the clothes put away. Why is he? And what is mysterious to me is, why do I suddenly see that? Sometimes I don't. So suddenly I'll see it, and wow, look at the reality I'm constructing. This beloved person, and it's the pants that I'm creating this sort of nightmare life with the pants on the couch. And so then something happens, and I see that, and it's like, okay, I see that to me, order is not having pants on the couch. I see that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, I'm curious, for the group, what is there a choice to see something or not? Can we choose to see something?
Yeah, and that's what I said, that's the mystery. Why I saw it. But once I saw it, I don't know if I would call it choice, but something was available to be different. And I see where I do go in one direction or another.
Something was available.
It's also interesting that activity itself is disorderly. So I'm actually not even saying specifically to you that the physical order, which is desirable, which in a certain way is valid, but the approach to the physical disorder is itself disorderly. It was very interesting. Now we seem to order our orientation that way.
I think that maybe part of that, where does that magical when you notice it? I think it's like anything. I think it's practice, in my mind at least. It's like remembering to sit up straight. It's like remembering to use certain things you learn by, if you want to adapt a habit, you sort of become aware of it and you remind yourself of it. And so to me, when I think of things like that, I don't know that it would have anything to do with being able to control it, which it sounds like really isn't what we're talking about, but to notice it, just to be able to notice it, I think is practice, is to practice noticing it and to remind yourself of it, you know, whether it's physical, if you leave yourself notes, or whether it's mental, to just to want to notice it, I think is big. Because if you don't really want to notice it, then you won't really. So.
It seems like too that's what this whole process is about. Listening to your dialogues before with the other people and having this dialogue right now is cultivating an awareness, you know, like it's allowing us to bring this forward of all the other stimulus that are in our lives. Then you have this awareness of this particular thing, or of the emotions that come up for us, and the ability to interact with another person, and whether or not we can interact with another person and see them as another entity that, if you think this way, that deserves attention and love and respect, you know, enough to be able to listen to them in the way that we all need to be. And so in that process, we create this garden, or we're cultivating this soil that allows more of us to come up to that awareness. And so maybe that's part of what gives us the impetus to keep going, you know, because then we have that possibility of connection that then gives us a possibility of change, whether it is of ourselves or the, and when you change yourself, then you do change the world, you know, because we are all connected.
But having awareness,
Pardon me?
having awareness of seeing something, then we have to make a choice.
That's
Whether I
right.
should do good or evil.
Yeah.
Corruption or non-corruption.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's right.
That's it.
But if
Like, say, for instance, in the scenario of the pants.
right.
That, because what I can see then is that it's part of this sort of need for this defining of myself, right? And someone else recognizes I need the pants put away. And that, because I think the say, emotion around that, or some sort of charge, it has nothing to do with pants being put away or not. It's something of someone recognizes, you know, my existence, my need, they're going to respond, and then the non-response is more like a challenge
Yes.
to me. And so that, for me, that's where what I see. Is that it sounded like what you were.
It's very interesting that I'm underway in a way that is attempting to continually find order in all sorts of different ways, and that attempt at order is constantly being challenged in all sorts of different ways. And that seems to be our primary experience.
It means that basically the need to stop really asking these questions about the future, or doing things with the future in mind or the past in mind. So if my girlfriend breaks up with me, and it's an awful breakup, my next girlfriend, or if I decide to date again, I'm gonna treat her like, you know, because I was angry at the one that left me before, so I'm not gonna treat her very nice, or I'm always gonna be worried that she's gonna, you know, cheat on me, or, you know, these are things that have I've seen kind of arising in people.
Why would we want to contemplate a futuristic endeavor while being the present?
I don't know, I'm speaking for myself. What fundamentally dictates my life is a fear of pain, whether it be emotional or physical. So in that place, yeah, expectations come in, you plan so you don't feel a kind of pain. You're afraid of being left, you're afraid of being this. So yeah, that, you know, in some way to be completely in the present or be completely centered and free, I would have to not be afraid of pain.
Mm.
That's the thing. Like that's kind of my problem.
So the question then might turn into what is total integration in the human being? And when is it possible? Is it any way possible?
What is total integration?
Pardon?
What's total integration?
I can't hear you.
What's total integration?
What is total? Well, I would say it's experiential. It's
A sense of ease, harmony, and flow right now. Be totally correct.
Why do you ask
I
that question?
don't think the mind could define it.
Why do you ask?
I was just wondering what it is.
Well, if we're disintegrated, I'm not sure we can answer the question of what that integration is. If we're always flying away from ourselves in various ways, I don't really know that we could actually speak to that.
There are moments of total integration.
You know, okay.
I mean, when you play your drums, are you totally there?
Yeah.
In love with what you're doing?
Yeah.
Maybe
And I'm
that's.
definitely here now.
Yeah, but
Integrated right now.
I was gonna be like doing something you love as an example of total
Yeah, but this is
integration.
fun.
You know, it's interesting, the drums work in such a way that you have these percussive moments, right? And each one of them is sort of set aside when you allow a beat or a rhythm to unfold, let's say. It has sort of almost a syntactical quality to it, right? Where it's being revealed to you in time, right? And thus, you get the impression of integration and flow, right?
Can I hear from you guys? You.
Yeah.
Even if it has nothing to do with what you just said, I really like to hear what you're thinking.
As far as earlier conversation goes, I was thinking about corruption, and I just don't believe that word is, how we use it real. We say, someone's corrupted because they're self-interested, but it's only natural to want to be self-interested when you live in this world, and you have to focus on your own survival and how you're going to get along. Frankly, if Leonardo da Vinci, if he wasn't self-interested, he probably would have never came up with any of his inventions or ideas,
I think that's very profound what this gentleman has said.
If there's a complete lack of self-interest in your life, then things are going to fall apart. I don't agree that there needs to be at least some semblance of self-interest in your life for things to work. If you're completely focused on what's outside of you, then how do you control anything in your life?
Perhaps corruption is a result of self-interest becoming the dominant force in your mind.
Yeah.
As opposed to just existing, because self-interest is something that keeps us alive.
Can I throw something out there? Maybe self-interest and you yourself being interested in things are two separate things. Because let's say Leonardo da Vinci might have, or any artist or inventor or anybody might do what they want to do because they naturally want to do that, just as an animal naturally wants to do what an animal naturally wants to do. But then another thing, besides doing what you want to do, is being utterly interested in yourself, in for lack of a much better word, pampering yourself, and making your world self-centered as opposed to going to where yourself is interested.